Okay, hi guys. I'm going to just walk through some of the stuff that I've been doing kind of quick in the class. I'm trying to think aloud as I'm doing it, explain what's going on. So the first thing I'm going to do is the simplest thing we can do. I'm going to just render a point onto the screen. And if we say 2020, that's the X and the Y location of this point. At this point I'm doing, at this instance in the tutorial, I'm doing nothing other than rendering one point. So when I press play, we'll get a wee window that'll pop up, and if I zoom in we can see 20 pixels in from the left, so 20 pixels in the X direction and 20 pixels down in the Y direction. We've got this point rendered. Okay, my window here is kind of small, so that's the first thing I'm going to try and change. Use a function called size, and this is expecting two arguments, one for the width, which we'll do as 400, and one for the height, which this time we'll do as 200. So that's pixels, okay? So the window that's rendered now is going to be 400 pixels wide and 200 pixels deep. Apologies for someone's very irritating phone ringing in the background and the grass cutting. Anyway, so we've got 400 pixels wide, 200 pixels deep, and we're going to draw a point at 2020. Great, still doing the same, we've just made our screen bigger. So one thing that's built into processing is a way of accessing these dimensions that we set with size. So I can decide that the X position is half of the width by dividing width by 2. So this is just going to access this value, which is hidden and handled for us behind the scenes. I can do the same with height, divide that by 2 as well. And if I hit render, we'll see the pixels now move to the middle. So drawing just a single point is maybe a little bit boring. We can extend this and we can draw, well, let's do these things in order. So we had a point, let's draw an ellipse with two L's and an I. We're going to draw this in the same XY position, so I'm just going to copy and paste that. Paste it. Put a semicolon there. Now ellipse needs an XY position, which is the center of this ellipse, and it also needs a width and a height for the bounding box in which it's contained. So that's how we specify how fat we want it to be and how tall we want it to be. So I'm going to use the dimensions of 100 for the width and 50 for the height. So we should get something that's kind of fat and not very deep. Let's try that. Okay. And something interesting we can notice here, if we zoom in, our points disappeared. Okay? And that's because the order, or the sequence in which these events happen, dictates how they're drawn on the screen. So the first thing this program is doing is setting the size. The second thing it's doing is drawing a point in the middle, which will be here, and then it's drawing an ellipse. An ellipse is happening after we've drawn the point, so it's drawn on top of it. So that's why our points disappeared. Okay? So this is my first finger of my 4-finger introduction to programming sequence. Things happen from top to bottom, and this affects the output that we see. Okay, thanks for listening.